grandma did this. It was like a cutout of this like squared plastic, and you would like put needle stuff.
Like needlepoint.
Yeah, but not quite. She would make like little people out of it. Like I had a whole, you know, Barbies, how you can buy like a Barbie closet or Barbie dream house.
Yeah.
I had one of those, but made out of that stuff.
Oh, that's some poverty stuff.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to Hardly Working, the show about life, love, and labor, hosted by the couple that works, plays, and stays together. I'm Kelly.
And I'm SP in what I'm pretty sure is Los Angeles, but could still be Salt Lake.
Who knows?
Who knows? We've spent pretty much half of this month in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yes, we have.
But you know what? Not so bad.
Not a bad thing.
Some weird weather out there. Not for Salt Lake, but for us.
It was just a weird, and this is weird to talk about, but yeah, it was weird because it was like sunny. It was kind of gloomy here when we left, and then it was like gloomy there, had a big snowstorm, and then we came back and it was like 80 degrees, and then we went to Salt Lake and it was like 70 to 80 degrees, and we came back and it was raining. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, I looked out my window in Salt Lake and it was snowing horizontally.
And everyone that lived
snowing
there was
sideways.
Like, yeah, they were like, that's a pretty big storm.
Yeah, I was like, that makes me feel better,
great.
I guess.
Great.
Maybe.
You're in the snow.
I'd still like to get out of here without whatever happens with airplanes and snow. I don't know the equation, but I know I'm not interested
I did talk to them about that though, and they were like, no, they're used to it in Salt Lake. They're like, it snows all the time here. It's not like if it were to happen in
Montreal. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, not there. She said somewhere else that she's like, that kind of gets snow sometimes, but they wouldn't really know. This is like Salt Lake, where people literally come here to go snowboarding and
That's
skiing.
true. They should be ready for it.
So yeah.
Either way, we were in Salt Lake doing the second half of our Utah tour, which is great. Working with a company called Costa Vida. This was my fourth time with Costa Vida. If you're not familiar with it, think their closest competitors are Chipotle and Cafe Rio. I'd maybe sprinkle in Baja Fresh there too. I'm not totally sure.
But they do make tortillas in store, handmade.
Fresh made tortillas. We learned a lot about that. But this is my fourth year working with them. Yeah. And honestly, I was for the last 2 years, I've been a little trepidatious about it.
But they loved you.
They did, and they do, and they're so kind. But I think, there's a couple gigs I do every year that are regular gigs and I've done for a while. And the struggle with those is, one, yes, it's cool because there's a lot of buy-in already. They already know who you are.
Yeah.
But the flip side of it is, two, that you have to keep bringing something that's fresh and new. If you're always working with new people, it sucks because you got to relearn them and they have to relearn you, or learn you, I guess, for the first time, however you want to say it. But all the stuff that you're like, this is a home run. I'm going to knock it out of the park. This always works. You do that. But then once you're 4 years in, you're like, what else do I have?
Yeah.
And I think that was a cool challenge for me because it really made me tap into some other places and spaces that I wouldn't normally. Whereas before I'd kind of like have some games ready and be ready to do crowd interaction. But I was like, these people really know me. And since I had the theme this year, I got to put together like a version of some games, but also just like some comedy influence in there, which was really fun. Even doing like setting up jokes that paid off later. It was really fun. And it took me out of my it didn't take me out of my comfort zone as much as it pushed me to continue to do better and better, which was fun. And I really liked the product, so to speak, like what came out of it. Are you dying?
No, I'm okay.
I saw you like holding your face.
I've been a little lightheaded these last couple of days, so I can feel it between my eyes.
Yeah, well, if you're listening to this and at some point you just hear, that was Kelly.
It was me passing out.
Yes,
I'm not
into the
pass
microphone.
out. I don't think I've ever passed out in my life.
Really?
Other than concussions, which I feel like is forced passing out. I don't think I've ever
no consent passing out.
I don't think I've like passed out because I haven't eaten or I locked my knees during a performance or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really have that quality. I recognize the feelings in my body and I say thank you and acknowledge you, and I'll take a step back and sit down
Sit
or do
down,
what I
maybe.
need. Or make a change or tell someone, hey, I'm not feeling really good, so I'm just going to go sit over here for a second. But for some reason, right before we started this, I told you, I said, I feel just a little bit lightheaded. So that was me feeling like my eyes were, like I was cross-eyed almost. I don't know.
I was like, eyes were what? About to explode?
No.
Because my eyeball just exploded last night.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But
what's up with that? I have like a burst blood vessel in my eye.
Yeah, it's okay. It doesn't look that bad.
Thanks.
Kind of cute.
Also, well, the downside, it's not cute. The downside of that, which I'm sure is stress or anxiety related, but the downside is I can't talk about what it is because they're very, very confidential, but I've been having this really great, I don't know how to describe it, series of auditions for a TV project that's really exciting to host that I would really love. And I got
cool.
a message from them the other day, and they're like, "Hey, just wanted to let you know we're still sorting things out, but like you're still in the running for this." And I'm like, "Freaking sweet!" And like, "We might know by Tuesday, which is in a couple days." And I was like, "Awesome!" And then I looked at my eye in the mirror. I was like, "Oh, my right eye just looks red. Like the entire thing looks
Not all of it.
the whole right side
When
of
you
my
look
eye."
at me like this, you can't even see
How
it.
about
I can see that.
that?
Some people have birthmarks in their eyes like that. It's fine.
Yeah, but those people don't get hired on television.
You don't know.
And I love you. If that's you, I didn't mean to take you out of something.
They do too.
All I know is that, look, it's like having a pimple on picture day. That's what it is.
I hear that, but I don't think it's that bad.
I think it's worse because on picture day, they'll still take your picture and put it in the yearbook. If you walk in there with a bloody eye, they'll be like, "You're probably great, but we're shooting in 2 weeks, so we can't have you here."
You don't know that.
I don't know. It's been a bloody year for me. Even getting on the plane with that nosebleed coming down my face.
Yeah, it has been. You are notorious for getting nosebleeds, so I don't think I've ever gotten a nosebleed ever in my life.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I guess that's true.
But you get them all of the time. Makes me nervous for Brooklyn.
All the time.
I just want to go back for a second and say you did an amazing job at this conference this last week. So much so that at the recap that the owners do at the end, or the CEOs do at the end of CEO and the president do at the end of the show, they quoted so a lot of their takeaways were a lot of your quotes.
Me, baby. That's
one
right.
of which was mine, but that's okay.
Us, baby. That's right.
But mostly you.
Todos nosotros.
All of us, yeah.
All of us.
You know what I mean? That, like, I was really cool to hear that and say that. I think that was good for you. A couple times from the crowd, one of the CEOs would be like, "SP, say that again. What was that quote again? Repeat it. I want to write it down." I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, that's one of my greatest joys because you get like affirmation in the moment and in front of everybody, and you're like, "This is pretty great." But this is 2 decades probably of studying.
Yeah, of course.
Like of listening to things, reading things, writing down quotes. I've got a huge quote thing in my phone. Yeah. I just created a ChatGPT conversation that's like, "Hey, every time I put a quote in here, just remember it and categorize it. So if I need something on hospitality or perseverance, I'm just going to type that in and you show me the quotes that I have." That's a good use of AI, y'all. Good use of AI. And like I'm excited about it. So I had so many back pocket things and it just really paid off. And plus, this is a really cool and kind company. If you have a Costa Vida around you, do check it out.
Yeah.
But so they are just nice and kind in general, but they also know what they like and they don't like. And if it wasn't a fit anymore, I'd be out. Yeah. We've seen it happen.
We'll see you next year. Just kidding. It's a joke.
You had some gigs too. In fact, our life was so chaotic that we left on left on Monday for Salt Lake. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we worked all day. I finished at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday. We got on a plane to go to Hollywood to your gig, which had already started.
Yes. So luckily I have a team. It's not just me. I have a team of people that can work for me, which is great, which I need to expand my team. Because I think I love my team, but I think I'm wondering if I'm going to get busier this year. We'll see. I'm hoping for it in ways. But yeah, my team was at a premiere after party for the new Disney Plus movie that just launched on Friday, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Road Trip. Starring Eva Longoria and a couple other people in there.
And the rest.
But Eva Longoria was the one who was really in charge of this party, and so that's why I say her name. But yeah, it was a last minute phone call from Troy to be like, "Hey, can you do this Disney Plus premiere?" And I'm like, "Yep." I wasn't in town, but my team was on it. And so they did it. We got to go see it. It was incredible. Everyone was so happy with the photos. They absolutely loved them. I was grateful to have a team there that could run it. It was their first time they've ever run something without you or I, and that was amazing. They made a couple of errors, but I talked them through.
Errors.
Yeah. I talked them through and they were like, "Oh yeah." So like, I think that they would learn or be more confident the next time to do it on their own, which is a potential that they'll be doing one on their own in September. So
dang,
we'll see. It's already on the calendar for its stronghold. So we'll see.
Hope it's not on the 6th.
No, it's on the 13th, which we would be
gone to.
PXP. That's besides the point. But I already have them locked in. So
but shout out to the team, to Steffi and Ashley May for running that, rocking it. It was awesome.
Yeah, but it was really cool to be there and to catch up with Troy too. We haven't seen him in so long. So it was fun to catch up with him. His birthday's coming up on the 7th of this month.
Once this airs. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what month it is right now.
So, yeah. So there's that, but we haven't seen him in a while, and it's good to see him. But it was really cool. It's my first Disney Plus thing that we did, which was awesome. Always happy to get in and for people to see different. We did a black and white glam booth. It was fun. Anyways, I'm talking a lot about it, but it was great. And I am hopefully getting busy. It's been a weird thing. My brain feels very fragmented in certain ways because the start of the year was so odd. And while I've been consistent with gigs, I wouldn't say that I'm like overflowing, which is totally okay. I don't think I ever want to be at a place that I'm overflowing and feel overwhelmed.
I don't know how we would have done the rest of life with that, with as many gigs as I've had, and then all just the life stuff lately.
Yeah, but I would like some more.
Sure.
So.
And you have some on the calendar. You have quite a few on the calendar coming up.
Yeah, for sure. I just,
oh my gosh.
I have some big plans for marketing that I've kind of thought through. So this big weekend that we're going away on, which we haven't even told everyone on, but we did.
That's what I just remembered. And I got so excited.
Go for it then.
So I don't like to vacation or do anything ever because I think I've been stuck in fight or flight and freeze mode for quite some years now. Mm-hmm. But Kelly and I have been talking about two things. Trying to find a time to get an actual vacation. We were just talking to Shim about this. Our last vacation was with Shim and Nick before their 2-year-old was born.
Yeah. Went to...
I don't remember what part of Mexico.
Colombia, but it's not.
Colombia.
Cancun, because we went to Tulum.
Did we go to Cabo or Cancun?
Wherever Tulum is, that's where we went.
We went to Tulum, baby. You pull out your own globes and figure out where that is.
Look it up?
No, it's not relevant.
So. We went to Mexico.
Yeah, like a week after I'd just been there for a gig in a very, very tough season. I think it was Cabo Wabo, but I don't know. No, I think it was Cancun. It doesn't matter.
I don't think I've been to Cabo. I think we went to Cancun. Yeah, because we flew into CUN, which I thought was weird.
You know, when you see one beautiful Mexican city / resort, you've seen quite a few of them.
I've only seen the one, and it wasn't my favorite.
No, we didn't have a podcast at that time.
Terrible experience, which we've talked about since.
Yeah, we've never fleshed out the whole thing because I can't even remember that. But that was 2022.
It's the first time I ever cried on vacation. Let's just be clear. Well,
it was the first of many.
Yeah. I've cried on vacation beforehand when I was 25 for my birthday.
Oh, would you call that vacation?
They took me to San Francisco to celebrate my birthday for vacation for a couple of days with Simone. They brought my best friend.
Well, so that was before my time. So
but
I don't know.
This was the first time I cried on vacation because of the way I was treated at a place that I was paying money to stay at.
Yes.
Let's say that.
Go back and listen to fill in the episode here for more information.
It's somewhere.
Yeah, go back. There's only like 130 of these episodes, and they're all somewhere between like 60 minutes to 2.5 hours. So you'll find it. You'll find it. Anyway, Kelly's really wanted to go on a vacation. And good news, we have not booked a vacation.
We booked a retreat.
Yes, we booked a retreat, which you might be thinking, oh, what's the retreat? Where are you going? Can I also say I would like to do a retreat like that? I was just listening to Pete Holmes on his podcast, talk to Jimmy Carr, who's now, I just finished Jimmy Carr's book, 10 out of 10. It's called Before and Laughter. If you're a creative person, get it. If you're a person, get it. Anyway, they were talking about it, and he had just gotten back from a 7-day meditation retreat with his wife.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah, here's the schedule. Get up, hour of meditation, breakfast, meditation, lunch, 2 hours of like he called it talking, but like we all get together and share insights or whatever, and then you're done. I was like, that sounds equally exciting and terrible at the same time.
It sounds like you want like a wellness retreat.
I do, because I just want to feel well.
Yeah, but like that's exciting for me. I could get behind a wellness retreat because they normally have spas and massages and
see, I'm not into those
like
pieces.
I know, but there's like yoga and meditation, all that stuff. But
I'm into the quieting of the mind.
It's something for both of us.
Oh, I can see that.
Do you know what I mean? Because
good news, though, we're not doing that.
I don't think that yes, but maybe we will. I don't think that I personally could meditate for that long. I could read, if you call that meditation. I could sit reading quietly.
I don't think that's the point of it.
I know, but that's not what I'm looking for. But a wellness retreat, I could do.
Well, in a couple of years, we can look into that because it's taken us this many years to get here.
Only if there's more than 9 people.
Oh.
Because that
Perfect
was
Strangers?
9 Perfect Strangers, 9 Strangers, whatever that was.
9 Perfect Strangers. Shout out to Nicole Kidman's TV show on Hulu. And shout out to Nicole Kidman, who can't stop working ever.
Those type of TV shows alive. The Perfect Couple.
She's keeping the whole industry alive.
100%. Love her.
She never stops.
I will always buy into whatever character she's playing.
Really?
Yeah, I don't care. She's great.
Yeah, she's pretty great. Anyway, we are going on a retreat, a self-imposed and self-led retreat.
Yes.
We're going up to Arrowhead for like 4 days at the end of the month, and we're really looking forward to it. We're going to try to take some time to figure out kind of what the future looks like. professionally and personally to some extent, I think. Try to figure out how to like make this is how I described it earlier, was how to make the most important things because there's just so much stuff happening and so much that we could be doing or that we are doing or needs to be cut out or added. And I'm really looking forward to, it's kind of like just a vision casting retreat for us. Not casting, but a vision setting retreat.
Vision setting retreat sounds better. I think you said it. It's just to allow us to focus in on the things that we actually want to do versus saying yes to all of the things. Because as gig workers, if you're not in the gig working industry or entertainment industry, you take whatever gig you can. You don't say no, because your no is somebody else's yes, and you'll never get that ask again if you say no. So you learn very quickly on, you say yes to everything. The problem is
not everything that's within or close enough to your rate. Yeah, not just everything.
But you say yes to every opportunity that's worth it.
Every solid opportunity.
Yeah, because the idea is if you don't say yes to that, somebody else will get it, and that could be something for them. But here's the thing. It's hard to undo that when you start switching into a different place. Like, it's hard to say no to the things that don't align with you when you've been taught for so long, like, say yes to every gig that's close to your rate. For this, you guys understand. I don't have to keep saying that, but say yes to every gig that you get offered.
Right.
Because that's just what you've been told. So we're kind of trying to rewrite that, at least for SP in this season, as he wants to transition into other things, and then figure out for us, like, what does it look like for us to continue more stuff like this that's together, that is more long-term. And I love my business, but even for me, I'm trying to figure out, like, what does that look like? And how long do I want to do this for? Right now, I'm like, for a long time, but like, what does it look like to keep that going, especially in a world that's ever changing with more expenses like tariffs and different things coming in and potential recession, like all of that stuff. It's just,
it's a lot, but we're trying to figure out how to continue to do more of the things that we love and less of the things that we're obligated to do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, which I know is a privileged position, but also we spent our entire life trying to create this life. So part of it's privilege. Part of it is friggin' hard work.
Yeah.
And
we're
insecurity.
keeping up with the hard work.
Yeah.
Too.
So I'm really excited about that. Really, really looking forward to it. And go ahead.
I'm looking forward to the large bathtub that they have in there and the wonderful hot tub that was a non-negotiable for each of us. So that at the end of the night, at least we have a place to like unwind and still talk about stuff. But like, you can't work all of the time. This retreat is a main work retreat, but part of that is to be able to get out into nature and get into the hot tub or just have some time away from the world.
Hey, this is going to sound dumb, but I heard this yesterday when I was listening to a podcast. I guess people go out in nature sometimes in part to clear their minds.
Yes. Which I was hoping that in some of this, we would be able to maybe go for like small walks or something. But it's just for you and I, we talk about all the time. Sometimes it's about getting out of the space that you're in. That'll just like maybe light or like it'll almost like restart your mind. But for me, I'm wondering if having different places where we can be like in the loft or down in the outside patio or downstairs in the living room or like going on a walk. If some of those things will actually help us talk about different things at different times. Yeah. Because I think there's a time for planning and a time for writing stuff down. And then there's a time for fleshing it out and kind of talking about it and dreaming. Yeah. So yeah.
We're just planning this retreat right now. So talk amongst yourselves or listen or do whatever.
But you can take this too for $2.99. The plan can be yours. Just kidding.
Well, speaking of that type of stuff, well, actually, before we go there, I wanted to say, I don't know. You can tell me if this is right or wrong. I'm kind of obsessed with learning and keeping myself occupied through learning.
Yeah.
I always am listening to something, a book or a podcast or whatever. Again, shout out to Jimmy Carr's book, Before and Laughter. Great read this week. Gonna be probably one of my favorites of the year. And I've read some really good ones this year already, like Let Them, but this is high up there.
That's a great one. I need to finish reading that.
They're both great. Read Let Them first, though. It is game changer. Anyway, I didn't realize that. I guess I knew that people would go out and take walks, clear their mind. But even if I did that, I always was listening to something. I've always been a multitasker, probably to my detriment. When I was in college, I would literally be playing a video game on the television while having an episode of TV on a laptop, while also having like a book playing in my ear. I wanted the visual of something that I liked playing. I wanted to be listening to a book or story, so I had to take away, but I wanted to also be doing something fun. And that's kind of like what my life has always been in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Is trying to, and I realized this about myself. Sorry, this turned into a hardly working through it. I realized that I have the type of personality that when he starts enjoying things, his first response is to say, how can I make this even better?
Third person coming out.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that's like, I think that's what drew me to drinking previously too, which is like, we're having a great time. You know what would make this even better? A couple drinks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm having this great time playing a game with Kelly, a video game. You know what would
Yeah.
make this better? Also listening to a podcast. Like I have this natural part of me or inherent part of me that's like, this is fun.
Yeah.
How do we make it more fun?
Yeah.
And I think that's really good. And I think it's pushed me into important places in my life, but also it's kept me from things like taking a shower without listening to something, taking a walk without listening to something. And there's times lately that I always listen to something in the shower, always, but I've been trying not to. And now I'm like, oh, I can just be with my thoughts. I can just think about stuff. And I've got this good idea that even though I was banging my head against a wall to try to solve this or create something, I couldn't do it. But now that I'm taking a shower and there's nothing else happening, I can.
Yeah.
I can see how being so mentally busy and occupied has been a detriment to certain mental health aspects of my life. So all that to say, I do think going on a walk on this retreat, and probably in general too, I don't know if it's different going on a walk with a person because you're not thinking, you're talking. I don't know. But I'm seeing the benefits. I'm understanding the benefits.
Yeah, I think getting out in nature and walking just in general is a good thing. You know me, I'm on this new kick where I'm like, we just got to move our bodies every day because I think it's good. But I think walking is just a great thing. I am learning about myself, and I think maybe I just haven't given my permission to be this person because this is really airing our laundry. But I know that you don't particularly being out in nature like that hasn't.
What? I don't like it.
Yeah, like camping is not something that you do. I don't like camping either, for the record. But I think what's happened is knowing that you don't like camping, my brain has gone, well, he doesn't like the outdoors, which isn't true.
That's kind of true.
Okay, then it is true. Then I'm spot on. So I think what happens is I know that I feel more centered and more centered.
I think I like being in the space of nature, but not being in nature.
Yeah, but I think I feel more centered. Like I think back to like going to the beach and sitting on the sand and listening to the ocean, like especially like closer to the evening, like is always something that's made me feel calm and centered and okay. Being out in the forest and doing that too has always made me feel calm and centered and more one with myself, or like with the realization that like the world is bigger than me.
Yeah.
But it almost gives perspective, but also makes me feel centered is the best word I can think of. There must be another word that's close to that, but like more just alive in my body or more like in touch with who I am. Yeah. But we don't really get a lot of opportunities to do that because one, we travel so much, mostly to cities. It's hard to be like, let's go somewhere else. But like when we were talking about this retreat, we talked about going to the beach or going to the forest. And it was interesting because the forest was more appealing. Because I was like being surrounded by trees, having fresh air, like that sounds great.
Yeah. And for me, I love being in beachy places.
I do too.
But also that felt more like we're at the beach. We should take advantage of that. We should go. Yeah, we're on vacation versus like being in the mountains, which is like, this is a controlled work mode.
Yeah.
You know, it's a comfy, cozy incubator for new thoughts and ideas. Yeah. And there's no beach pulling us out there.
Yeah.
Sorry, beaches.
We have a hot tub pulling us out instead. Anyways.
That's true. But we can talk in a hot tub. It's hard to talk in the ocean.
No, I know. That's what I was going to say. The hot tub is great. I know. But I am excited to be in the forest and to hopefully take some walks or something. Like, I just think it sounds nice. There's a chance we might be taking Scooter with us, which we haven't talked to your mom about, but that is the week that they would be out of town.
Yeah, we'll see. So you might have a dog up there.
Might have a dog. I take a dog with me.
Either way.
Your mom's going to read that and be like, what? It's okay. I promise. We'll take care of him.
This is how we communicate all information to our family.
No, we'll tell her about it.
Didn't you listen to the podcast?
They haven't decided what they're doing yet, so
that's true.
Waiting on that as well. But I would take him, and he'd be fine. He'd be great. He'd be perfect.
He'd have a great time. One more thing before we transition to actual segments and stuff. One big win for me this weekend. Y'all probably already know, but through what I do with hosting and speaking, that kind of stuff, I've had a lot of cool opportunities to do keynotes and breakouts and pieces of speaking within hosting, all that kind of stuff. And it's been great. And there's been some really cool opportunities with that. But this week, I was going to say both of us, but this weekend, it was kind of mostly me. I finally got my speaker website up and running.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I'm glad you said it.
Yeah, and I'm really pumped about it.
Is it up and running? People can access it now?
I have not put the link out in the wild,
Don't do
but
that yet, yeah.
it's all up and good to go. With the exception of I'm putting together the speaker sizzle reel, which I just need to really put my brain on. But
Yeah.
everything else is there. And it was really encouraging going through old photos and old keynotes and breakouts and snippets and quotes and all that. I was like, dang, I have a lot of stuff already.
You do.
I have a lot of stuff because I've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. So I just want to share, that was a big win for me to get that up and running and going. Yeah. And that's a big part of what we're going to be looking at the retreat too, is figuring out how to say no to certain things so we can say yes to the right things.
Yeah. And I need to work on a contract for you for that. That's very specific and what it includes and yada, yada, yada. So I'll be working on that.
It's going to be awesome. But anyway, that was a big win for me this weekend, was finishing up my speaker website.
That's great.
Thank you.
I'm hoping that something we talk about at our retreat is how to get help. That sounded wrong. Not for like our mental health, because we already have therapists, but like how to get help within our work stuff to get us seen more. Because
look, so
even the person that I take classes from for my stuff has help. Like she has an agency that helps book her on a bunch of stuff.
No doubt. And that's what we should look at this point. Thanks for listening to the show, everybody. And I hope you like hearing about our life.
About our life, I guess. Yeah.
Because we have a whole show planned and we'll get to pieces of it.
Yeah.
But yes, back to the retreat thing. That's a big part of what Kelly and I have been trying to talk about is we've gotten really far on our own.
Yeah. And I would say we're two lucky people because we are natural achievers. So we like to accomplish stuff, and we're also helpers. So we're here to help each other.
Yeah. We're both the same that way.
We're both talented in weird things. Like I'm really good at, I hesitate in saying graphic design because I'm not a graphic designer in the way that like some crazy people are.
Yeah.
But I'm really good at like mocking up. Like I can make a quick mop. I can do all of my own photo booth stuff, all of my own photo booth graphics with like no problem. I can make his logos. I've made my logos. Like I'm really good at that. I'm also really good and really quick at taking ideas and putting them together. So if we need a contract, guess what? I could find one, make it ours. I could do.
You're great at that stuff.
Like any of that. Like I'm very good and very quick at that. You're very good at a lot of that stuff too. I just have taken a lot of it on. We're good at invoices. I'm good at like planning that out and making that look nice and blah, 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 blah.
Bunch of stuff that I can do but dislike doing.
Yeah. But you're good at like having conversations and like selling yourself and selling me and getting like looking up and using ChatGPT to find like the right people to email or like we have these strengths that we don't need anybody because we can do it.
And the truth is, like, having gone through the industry for so long, hoping that it's like someone will just figure it out and be like, you're great for this. And then getting to the point where it's like, oh, that's not how it works. No. We talked about it with Bo a couple weeks ago. It's like help is never coming.
Yeah.
I talked about Robert Davanzo talked about it when I was in one of his acting classes. He's like, you guys sit around thinking someone's just going to be like, and you'll answer the door.
Yeah, and
they'll be like, hi, are you an actor?
Yeah.
Me? Like, no, you got to go out there and do it. And so we've done it and we'll continue to do it. But we've also reached this point where it feels like in order to get to that next level, we have to get people on the team, create a team that's more than just the two of us, that knows more about it than we do.
Yeah. And part of it for me is being able to buy back time, because part of the reason why we do what we do is so that we have so much time. And the one thing that I've noticed, which we've talked about, I don't know that I've said it out loud actually, is that I've realized because we're so talented at different things or we have knowledge and we can do them, that we do them. But now we work way more than we
have to.
Versus being
we're also kind of frugal that way too. I'm like, I can do it.
There's pieces of that too, for sure. But like, I think that's where I'm at, where I'm like, let's buy back some time. Like someone could help us with this. I've thought about it in terms of social media because I hate social media.
Me too.
It's so hard to post stuff and to make reels and do all that stuff. I can do it and I do it fine. It's just not my best thing, but I haven't quite done that yet.
All that to say, we're starting to evaluate who would be good to bring on the team.
Specifically for him.
Yeah. And if you're thinking like, I'd be a good fit, and maybe you would, but we're looking for actual people who do things professionally.
Like managers.
Yes, managers, production partners.
PR people.
Publicists. Yeah,
it's
that
like,
type of
what's the word
stuff.
I'm looking for?
Which, if that is you, or you know people that are like that, please do reach out. We'd
Reach
love to
out
connect
at
and
It's
chat.
Hardly Working. That's right. At It's Hardly Working. DM us there or email us at hardlyworkingfans@gmail.com.
Boom, baby.
Nailed it.
Still rocking it. But yeah, so we're looking into kind of what that would look like. And it's a really exciting phase and stage to be in. So it's going to be a good time. Good time. That was my last thing. Was speaking website, teams, blah, blah, blah.
So send all your good vibes. Wish us luck as we embark on a new-ish journey.
Together. All of us. But that is not happening today.
Because today
is April 2nd. I loved what just happened. I watched it happen in my mind. You heard the transition. And you're like, I'll jump. And then you're like, but I don't know what the date is.
Well, I didn't know what we were doing.
Really?
I was like,
I really thought you were in
did
there.
that happen today? Or are we skipping to stories? Or are we doing
That's a great question because
I just didn't.
I had this perfect segue to that happen today, completely forgetting that I came across a question that I wanted to talk about first.
Okay.
So before we jump into that, I came across this question. For those in their 40s, what's something that people in their 20s don't realize will impact them as they get older? No, we are not in our 40s, but we're all headed that way. We should all be so lucky to make it there.
Me farther than you.
Yeah, you're pretty far away. 9 whole years. It's crazy. Let me read a few and you can tell me what you think. And then if you've got anything else that pops up to mind, you tell me. So the question is, for people in your 40s, what's something you wish you would have known in your 20s? And this is the kind of stuff that I love.
Yeah.
I love having information that takes a lifetime to get or 40 years to get. First, the quote, I'm too old to do that / it's too late for me to try anything or something new. That's
true.
Not true, of course. What they don't realize is that people in their 40s aren't that old yet.
That's true.
It's weird because you grow up and you're always as old as you've ever been.
I know.
And when you're 12, you're like 35,
Perspective's
40.
everything.
Yeah, exactly.
As I'm in my 30s, I'm like, 40's not that old because I don't feel that old. So like in a couple years, I'm not going to be old.
No, maybe.
But I love you parents, but I look at my parents and go like, they're not old either.
Yeah.
They're older.
Sure.
But then I look at your grandma and go, she's old.
She is 93. That is pretty old.
I go, that's old.
Shout out to grandma. Love you, Mina. Bye.
She's
Next.
not listening.
You don't know. Probably not, though. Your body doesn't bounce back as quickly as it used to. The impact of, wait for it, poor diet, lack of exercise, and insufficient sleep becomes increasingly noticeable as you age.
Yes.
I could have written that one, especially about the sleep. Actually, about all of them. I know that's true. But I also know about me that sometimes I have to learn the hard way, the dentist. Sometimes I have to learn the hard way. Yeah, we gotta adjust those 3 areas.
Yeah.
Next, being judgmental. Don't think you know it all about someone or something too quick. You don't have to react to everything. Ooh, I really like the last part of that.
Yeah.
You don't have to react to everything. Why do we feel like we always have to have a hot take or perspective? I'm not talking about on the show, but like in life.
What the world tells us right now.
I think one of my biggest frustrations with that is this, like, you used to not have to have an opinion on everything.
But now you do.
And
if you don't have an opinion, then you are on the wrong side.
It is when that term, or not the term, but the ideology of silence is violence, like not saying anything at all, is maybe even worse than picking a side. It puts everybody in this forced situation to have to at least know enough about something to pick a side.
And maybe this is controversial. I don't know. But I hate that because I go, maybe I'm staying silent because I feel inadequate to have an opinion. And yes, I understand that that means that I should be maybe looking into that. But also, like, there are some things that I shouldn't have a voice on. That the voice should be given to the people that it's about. Whether most of the time it's like truly with minorities is that people get upset. But I'm like, I don't want to speak for people. If I don't live there, if I'm not of that culture or of that ethnicity, I don't need to have an opinion on it. I shouldn't have an opinion on it. I should allow others to have their voices heard versus me being like, this is my opinion and everyone listen. I'm like, maybe you got to give a stage or give a platform for other people to say that. Now, if it's about women, I feel like I should.
Sure. You've got a horse in that race, so to speak.
Yeah. But yeah.
Well, I've realized you can't do this really on the internet. For instance, Black Lives Matter protest happening a couple of years ago, 4 years ago now, right?
Yeah.
And it was like either you did put up a all black square on Instagram or you didn't. And whether you did or didn't, said anything the internet needed to know about you. Even if you didn't know that you're supposed to or not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
You didn't. So now you're on this side or that side.
Yeah. And I think it's hard for me. And this is just me.
And I'm on the side of Black Lives absolutely matter, just so we're all on the same page.
Yeah. You have the black square to prove it.
I do. And
Not that means anything.
I have a heart for all people being respected and treated equally.
This is what I was going to say. I think this stuff is hard for me personally, because social media, it's not my favorite thing in the world. I understand that it's a big part of this. But for me, during that time, it was more important to me to check on my friends.
Yeah, sure.
And I was working at I was overseeing multiple like locations at that time.
Yeah.
With a pretty diverse like
group
crew.
of people. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what was more important to me during that time was checking in, and I had the power as one of the executives to give the time or allow the space or whatever they needed. And that felt more important to me than being like, let me post on social media or let me give you my hot take on this situation. I was like, no, like I'm going to check in on the people that need me and see how they're doing and offer the time and space and fill in that way and be a presence there.
Yeah.
Which no one would ever know about unless I was literally telling you about it right now. And those people that I did that
of
for.
Course.
But I think that gets lost a lot in some of this. Where it's like, you have to have opinion because silence is violence. I'm like, but I wasn't necessarily silent. I was just in the world.
Yeah, I was actually doing the work. I was being
active in the world, doing what I felt like I could do and asking, which maybe isn't appropriate because people go back and forth with this, but asking like, how do I support? Like what actually looks like support to you versus me posting a black square or whatever that looks like. So it was an interesting thing. And I learned a lot, and I was able to help out people, and I was able to like give space and the freedom and the time people to have open, honest conversations or share how they're feeling or make people feel seen and heard and safe and be a safe space to be like, hey, if something ever happens, like I'm here. Yeah.
I think it's kind of like what Bill Burr's Hulu special that just came out was talking about. He was talking about Black Lives Matter. He happens to be a white man married to a black woman. And he was talking about all of that stuff happening and how people were like, oh, and I put a sign in my window in downtown LA. And I just couldn't stay silent. And he equates it back to, spoilers of the joke, of like 1940s Germany. Imagine, your great grandma was like, and then I put a sign in the window and it defeated them. It was like some people are out there doing the work like you're describing, and some people are doing it for social media. Yeah. Anyway, we can get into that for a long time, but I have this kind of checklist of a few here, and I want to see what we're doing and what we need to start doing. No, not sorry at all. I got a list. I'm giving
ready
you the
for
lead
the
in,
list.
baby.
I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. So
because of the conversation?
Because I think a lot of people have opinions about stuff. And so it's hard because I'm like, you don't know me.
Yeah. And
I feel like I have to defend myself, but I'm like, you don't know me. And I also like, specifically to this topic we're talking about, but it could be anything that's happening in Israel, with Israel and Palestine, like all of that stuff. I don't feel like it's my place to have necessarily an opinion. Not that I shouldn't. I'm just saying I feel like there are other voices that need to be heard outside of mine. And it isn't mine to come on here and say stuff. It is mine to come on here and say that's not okay.
Right.
For whatever that looks like. When you talk about Black Lives Matter, like it was my job to say, hey, you can't talk to people that way. And you can't do that in the moment and over things. But I don't know how going on the internet and being like, you shouldn't do that thing makes a difference. And I think that is the hard part for me is like, I'm going to rather be an active person and teach my kid about racism and why like that's bad. And like have my little baby girl in the supermarket be like, I would say, don't talk to them. You're a racist. Don't talk to this person that way. Like I'd rather be the change with my family 100%. And my kids than be the person just spewing a bunch of stuff on the internet. And so I can tell it's uncomfortable for me to talk about it because I know this will be out in the world.
Yeah.
I'm like, would rather be an active participant in the world that I live in than an active participant online with a bunch of people that are just going to fall on one side or the other.
It doesn't matter online. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'd rather give that opportunity and that voice to somebody who can make a difference and who it does affect than me.
Yep. It's hard to change the world, but it is easier to change the people in your circles or stay on a healthy path or put out good vibes, whatever you want to say. Yeah. I have two things to add.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. One, a phrase that I've become more confident with regarding all of these things is the phrase something like, I'm just not educated enough to have an opinion on that. And just let it be that. And how can you not have an opinion on this thing that's so important to me? It's because everyone has that thing, and I can't be up to date on all of those things.
And I'd rather point you in the direction of someone else that has more knowledge and is passionate and like I trust with that information than for you to be like, here's my thoughts, my uneducated thoughts.
Totally. Also, second thing I'll say, I should have opened with this so I could have closed with a good piece of advice. But you mentioned religion, and there's a lot going on, of course, across the world. I think I have a new rule in my life that if someone has a holy war or a religious-based war that they need to fight, only their gods can participate. No more sending in young people or ending lives. If you got a god problem, your two deities need to go at it, but stop killing humans for it. That's my take. Anyway, which I know might seem cavalier in light of what's happening, but people need to stop dying for no reason. That's all I'm saying. Here's that list I was talking about.
All right, I'm ready.
Save for retirement.
Yes.
Doing it. You're
actively
doing it. Thank you.
I need to do it for you.
Answering the question, are they actual friends or just drinking buddies?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been asking those questions. Next, be nice to your feet.
Yeah,
I'm
you.
working on that.
I'm nice to my feet.
I have an appointment. It's a video appointment, but I'm going to see if I'm going to tear my Achilles or not. And I'm going to get that answer hopefully before it happens.
They're not going to know. They're going to have you come in.
Prioritize healthy and nutritious food.
Working on that too. Actually, I feel like we do that. Other than when we're on the road, that's really hard to do it. But I feel like we do that quite well.
You do this one well. Drink water as your primary beverage of choice.
Yeah, baby. Sometimes it's sparkling, but it's still good. I do less sparkling water though.
I do like sparkling water, but I'm like, coffee's great. I should have a second cup of coffee. Is it late enough to have a soda yet? Soda stream.
Yeah, I do like water.
Napping is wonderful. Don't believe it means you're just lazy. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Just because you can do something fast, it doesn't mean you should. Choose sustainability. We were kind of just talking about that. If we're lucky, life is long. Learn to delay gratification. I'm not great at that. I would rather have the gratification in the moment. I'd rather eat the dessert. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I was like, I want people to be grateful for me, but I understand what you're saying.
Not gratitude.
I was like,
gratification.
Like the reward.
Yeah.
It's like a reward.
That's what's hard as an adult, especially if you have some disposable income.
You can just buy what you want when you want. How great.
Yeah. I told you this a while ago. I was like, when was the last time I looked forward to something? It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But like we learned this whole week, perseverance is about delaying that gratification for something better later, or even more eloquently or condensedly said, I should say, I would see it as understanding that what you do today is your consequence tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think that goes for nutrition and exercise. I think it goes for things like alcohol or drugs. I think it's the same with relationships. I think it's the same for most things. It's like, if you want to, honestly, the long term is what you should be looking at.
Yeah.
Because life is long. Life is really long.
Yeah. You don't need that dessert 7 days a week, y'all.
Are you saying that to me? Or to you? Or to everyone?
To everybody.
But mostly us, right?
Mostly Brooklyn.
She loves dessert. Just like her mom.
Do I have to brush my teeth? Because do I get dessert tonight?
Where are we at with the whole dessert situation?
I'm like, you can't have it every night. It's not what we're doing.
All right. Well, anyway, there's more on here, but I would love to jump in, get the show really going now that we're at the 45-minute mark.
So maybe just a few things before we...
You want to wrap it up?
No, let's...
I hope you guys have a wonderful week.
I didn't say that. But I do think we should save some stuff for another show.
Sure. We'll see how it goes.
But let's jump into...
That happened today.
Thanks, April 2nd.
That segue, that transition we put down like 15 minutes ago.
We nailed it now.
We nailed it. We always come back to center. April 2nd is the date. And wonderful things happened.
Really?
Also, tragic things happened.
Wow.
Because it's just a day of the year.
Yep.
But if you went all the way back to 1912, a very successful outing for the Titanic went to... I'm not joking. Hold on. Here's the whole thing. A successful outing of a test run for sea trials to test its seaworthiness was held for the Titanic.
Great.
Presumably to make sure that it would float.
And it
Look
did.
out for icebergs. All that kind of stuff. And to be fair, it did.
That's true. Did you know that there is a conspiracy theory about the Titanic? That it was actually switched with an older ship?
Where would they have the actual Titanic?
They looked quite similar, but there were just some differences. And so the other ship kept... So that there is a theory I don't remember what the name of the other ship was. Let's call it the. I don't know.
Let's call it the Escobar.
Okay, the Escobar. It's not the name of the ship, right? But let's say there's the Titanic and the Escobar. In theory, they switched the names of them. And so the Escobar was older and they knew they weren't going to get any good insurance money for it. So the theory is that the Titanic became the Escobar, which is a brand new ship, and that the Escobar sailed on as the Titanic, and that it crashed into an iceberg so that they could get the insurance money.
For real? Does James Cameron know this?
I don't know. I don't know that that's actually true. Let's just be clear.
Girl, can I bring up one hole
And I don't
in this
think that
whole
it's
thing?
true. It's just a conspiracy theory.
Question.
If you look at the pictures, they are a little bit different.
Question.
They're also in black and white.
How dare you? And what gives you the right to not tell me these things until right now?
Sorry.
Where have you been hiding this information?
I also don't think
this is interesting to me.
I also don't think that it was intentional. Like, it wasn't like they're gonna we're gonna take the Escobar out and then go
this
into
was
an
insurance
iceberg.
Fraud.
No, yeah, but I think that but the theory is that it was old, and so they were going to I don't know, make that all happen, and that hopefully some accident would happen and they get it. I don't think they meant it for it to be as big as it was. I don't. This was
the early 1900s.
This is a conspiracy theory, guys, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
I wasn't gonna help you. I was gonna help you with my eyes. I was like,
words are hard.
Wow. But this was the early 1900s. And so pre-internet, so that's helpful. Information's not getting out fast. But we've come a long way in terms of manufacturing and cleaning. I just have to imagine the back of the Titanic would have had a very bright white outline of where it used to say the Escobar. And you're like, oh, don't look at that. That's just,
I don't know.
This is not the Escobar. This is not it.
You hate when I do this.
Here comes Rabbi Google.
Rabbi Google.
Why do we say that? Because we went to Israel once, and when they didn't know an answer, they consulted Rabbi Google, which is actually just Google. Did that kill enough time for you to get the answer about the Escobar? How are you going to look it up? It's not even called the Escobar. Not only is this a conspiracy theory, we've made up
You know what's
pieces
funny?
of it.
The Olympic, or the Escobar is actually, the real name for it was the Olympic. Okay. The Titanic conspiracy theory, popularized by Robin Gardner's book, Titanic, the Ship That Never Sank, suggests that the ship that sank was actually Titanic's sister ship, the Olympic, disguised as a Titanic in a scheme to defraud insurance companies. So the claim, you ready for all this?
Ready.
Is the central premise is that the Olympic, which has been damaged in a collision with the HMS Hawk, was secretly swapped with the Titanic and sent on its maiden voyage. The motive, the theory suggests that the International Mercantile Marine Group, controlled by JP Morgan, who owned the White Star Line, JP Morgan, also Chase Bank now,
Mercantile,
orchestrated the scheme to collect insurance money after the Olympics damage. The evidence, according to Gardner, the person that wrote that weird book, is Gardner argues that various events and coincidences point to this switch, including the Olympics' pre-existing damage, the timing of the Titanic sinking, and the alleged photographic and documentary evidence. The Federal Reserve conspiracy, another less common conspiracy theory, suggests the Titanic was sunk to kill 3 powerful men who opposed the creation of the Federal Reserve, but this claim lacks credible evidence. And then there are counter arguments and the reality. The reality is that the Titanic launched on May 31st, 1911, and set sail on its maiden voyage from the Southampton on April 10th, 1912, with 2,240 passengers and crew on board. And then on April 15th, after striking an iceberg, it broke apart and sank.
Oh, spoilers.
Taking the lives of 1,500 passengers and crew. I thought it was more than that, but that is still a lot of people.
It's a lot of people with daiquiris in hand, wearing board shorts and bathing suits.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, but isn't that crazy conspiracy theory?
I like it. I like conspiracy theories that don't have a lot of weight to them. Like, if you really think the earth is flat, that tells me a lot about you. If you believe that the Titanic may have been swapped for insurance fraud, that seems a little more plausible. It's something that could happen, not something that is empirically and scientifically inaccurate.
Yeah.
So, give me the Titanic stuff. Talk to me about Bigfoot. I guess that's where it starts and stops. Those types of things, I'm in.
Although I think that you can easily debunk this theory because my brain goes, there has to be restitution.
Not always.
For any of the families.
There's only been one group of people who have been given restitution.
Yeah, I'm
in
related
the
to one.
history of the world.
I'm related to one of them. But I was just curious because normally if something happens and some people die on something, that company will then pay the other companies out. So I'm like, it probably would have cost him more money to do that anyway.
I'm just saying,
Anyway.
keep bringing that to the show.
You're welcome.
I'm down for Kelly's Conspiracy Corner. It's even got good alliteration. There's already a segment. And guess what? We discovered that on April 2nd because that happened today.
That happened today?
In a year.
Thanks, April 2nd.
In a year, we'll
I
be
think.
like, Kelly started her first segment called Kelly's Conspiracy Corner. Thanks, April 2nd.
I can give conspiracy theories
I'm down.
every now and
It's
then.
fun for me. Here's an interesting thing that I didn't know happened or existed or anything. You're familiar with Charlie Chaplin, correct?
Yes.
Now, of course, well before our time, silent movie actor, turned probably not silent movie all the time, but
Yeah, I
an
think so,
American
eventually.
icon.
Uh-huh.
Did you know that he was exiled from the United States?
I did not know that.
Me either.
What for?
Well, that's stuff that happens to people like Napoleon, not Charlie Chaplin. He was annexed for or exiled, not annexed, for 20 years during the Red Scare, like the McCarthyism era.
Interesting.
Yeah, they must have assumed that he was a communist. Oh, Chaplin was accused of having communist sympathies. Can you imagine there was a world in which you could
I saw
be
the mustache.
accused of, honestly, it's always rubbed me the wrong way, metaphorically. You could be accused of like being a communist and get exiled. Like there's no
Well, you
rules
could
now.
have.
Yeah, but like
Not anymore.
imagine what it would take now. The things that get said or
Nothing.
tweeted every single day.
Absolutely nothing.
But anyway, I had no idea that he was exiled for 20 years.
That is crazy. I just want to say this. Canada, we still love you. The Hardly Working Podcast loves
you.
Please.
Except Montreal. You're on my shit list.
But Vancouver's where we got engaged. So just putting that out there as evidence proof that on Monday, no,
on April
April
2nd.
2025,
Allies, baby.
we are with you. Cascadia sounds great. Just kidding.
Is it Cascadia or Concordia? Either way, I'm into it.
I think Concordia's a real place. I'm just kidding. I know everyone is. It's a weird time right now in
It's
the
a
world where a
weird
lot of people
time.
are saying that it's scary to come to the United States. And so I just want to make sure that if we have to get out, we can get out.
A lot of people are saying that. A lot of countries
Countries,
are
that's what
saying
I'm
that.
saying. It's more of what I'm
Travel
saying.
warnings. So, yeah.
You know what I didn't know? So
What?
this is so random, and this is now just getting political. I apologize, everyone. I did not know that the country doesn't decide what type of government you have. Like I was like, oh yeah, like we're a democracy. That's what we are. I didn't realize
Because we decided that.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't realize that other people in the world is it the UN
I don't know
that
who
comes
declares
together
it.
that can say, oh no, that's not a democratic country anymore. That's
a dictatorship, that's
or
a
a communist or
monarchy.
whatever,
Yeah,
or an
exactly.
oligarchy. Like I didn't know that until
You
recently.
say oligarchy?
Yeah,
I say oligarchy. I wonder which is right. Sorry, continue.
doesn't matter.
These are the quiet parts that should just be in my head.
Okay,
I
but
apologize.
I just didn't know. I truly thought like, oh yeah, like
Yeah,
you
I
just
said
decide.
America, and this is not political. This was just on an article. America in danger of losing its democracy status.
I was like, wait,
I was
what?
like, what? Who
I
gets
thought
to do
that's.
that?
I thought we decided that,
Nope.
but I guess not.
Guess
Anyways,
not. So that's just some world info for you.
also, what happens if you don't agree? Like if
With
you're a
what?
citizen, but you're like, I would like to be this a
I suppose you move.
a democracy.
I think you just move or stay. I don't think you get to weigh in on what type of. Just ask the North Koreans how much say they have in their government.
Sure, Okay.
Probably very little, I would guess. But the flip side is literally in South Korea, some great music. K-pop taking over the world.
Yeah, that's true.
At least it was in like 2015. I
It
don't know
kinda
about
was.
now. Anyway, back to Charlie Chaplin. Not only did I know he wasn't exiled, the reason I knew this is because when I looked at April 2nd, it said he returned to the U.S. from being exiled. I was like, what is the story?
Oh,
The reason he returned is for the Academy Awards. They were giving him an honorary Oscar, which he accepted. Hold that thought, though. He got a 12-minute standing ovation, the longest in Oscar history.
that's crazy.
He said, words seem so futile, so feeble. I can only say that. Thank you. Thank you for the honor of inviting me here. Oh, and you're wonderful, sweet people. That's what he said. And it signified and marked a very powerful moment in the reconciliation between Hollywood and one of its most iconic pioneers.
That's sweet.
Can't take that away.
Yeah.
The award recognized his incalculable effect in making motion pictures the art form of the century. So I thought that was cool. Not only did I not know that he was exiled, but I didn't know that he was given an honorary award.
That's pretty cool.
I love that. A couple other things that happened. We've talked about soap operas before here. We don't
Yes.
spend much time on them, obviously, because it's boring. But you know what? A lot of soap operas happen, and that's what happens on television.
right.
As the World Turns debuted.
As the world it no longer exists anymore. I don't
Is
think.
that true? It ran for over 5 decades, though.
Yeah.
Any guesses then when it started?
I mean, I should understand decades, but when did it go away? In the 2000s?
I don't know, but it started in the 50s, 1956. Yeah. Also, Dallas was a primetime soap opera that premiered on April 2nd of 1978.
Yeah.
I don't know what The Edge of Night is, but it premiered alongside As the World Turns.
Dang.
A lot
Thanks,
big
April
premieres
2nd.
in April. Soap operas.
A lot of people come from soap operas.
That's true. And a lot of people watch them, or at least they did.
People still do, but a lot of actors come from there.
Yeah, it's because it's a boot camp. I think we talked about this last week.
You do it, yeah.
The
We don't have to
reason
go over that again.
The reason though that I say all of these
Because
premieres.
General Hospital premiered too.
No. I am aware of what that is, but not
It's
really.
the only soap that matters.
This is not a soap, but this show debuted on April 2nd, 1998.
Bones.
98?
I'm just kidding. It would have been way out before then.
This was a show that you would not discover today. You want to know why?
Give me the premise. Don't tell me the name.
Closing it up then. The premise is reality TV before reality TV,
Not Survivor.
before reality television.
Oh, is this on MTV? Sorry, actually.
It's not on MTV.
Okay, listening.
It was handy cam or body cam footage.
Jackass.
Nope. Of people doing things they're not supposed to and getting caught. And the attempt to evade getting caught.
Oh, I can't remember the name of this, but I know exactly what it is.
Whatever version of it, it doesn't matter because it started here with World's Wildest Police Videos.
Dang.
And whether you watched Cops or this or whatever, you would not find this now.
What you gonna do when they come for you?
Bad boys, bad boys.
Isn't that the Cops?
Copyright infringement
that
is
the
what we
Cops
are
theme song?
doing. Yeah, bad boys, bad boys. I don't know what World's Wildest Police Videos, but it doesn't matter. Any of those shows, iconic, but you wouldn't find them now because with streaming, you can watch anything you want at any given moment.
So why would you watch that?
Yes,
But in your hotel room when you're on vacation, you might see that. Let's just be clear.
It's like that. But the reason that we had even stumbled across this in the late 90s was because there was times where you were up too late and all good primetime shows were over. So you had stuff like this. There was days where you stayed home from school and you were going to watch Jerry Springer, Maury, this, and probably a little piece of Nick Jr. because it was awful, but it was on.
Yeah.
This was like a moment in time. This was pre-YouTube, and that's where this stuff would live now, pre-TikTok. But this was something, it was a wonderful treat as you watched people who usually were getting pulled over and then would try to escape from the cops.
Yeah.
And it was always a wild ride.
Wild.
It was good times. So thanks, April 2nd, for
Thanks,
World's
April 2nd.
Wildest Police Videos.
Wow.
There was also not just a premiere, though. And I brought this up because I think you probably watched it. But the season finale in 2009 on April 2nd, the end of the 15-season run of ER.
I did not watch that show.
Did you not? It seems up your
George
alley.
Clooney was on that show, though.
You know, I might have been thinking Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, Grey's Anatomy is still running and going strong.
But isn't ER kind of the
predecessor?
Of Grey's Anatomy and the like? Oh, well,
yeah,
that
I
happened.
mean, Grey's Anatomy, I think, is more diverse and covers lots of different issues. ER was still in the early stages, in my opinion, of what like procedurals look like.
Yeah.
Whereas I think you're looking at Grey's Anatomy and you're like, there's just more depth.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that's Shonda Rhimes for you. So
we love Shonda Rhimes. And by we, me by proxy, Kelly actually loves Shonda Rhimes.
She's great. And everything she makes is golden.
There's not always a day where food history is relevant.
I'm ready for it.
And today is one of those days.
Are you ready for it? Yes.
That took me right back to Salt Lake.
I knew it.
Two things happened in food history. Chipotle's National Burrito Day promotion.
Wow.
March, and by the time you're listening to this, it's possible you might be a part of it. Who knows? March 31st to the 2nd, Chipotle celebrated National Burrito Day by offering 2,500 buy one, get one free codes per hour.
We should do that.
Through their online burrito vault game. Let's figure out what that is first. I don't know.
Do they have a National Burrito Day from Chipotle?
But participants guess specific burrito orders to win prizes from $1 million prize pool. So that's cool. Look into that. But also, Burger King came to play, which is always a mistake because
I don't really eat Burger King, although I did think certain things at Burger King. It was one of my options when I was in high school, places I could walk to eat for lunch.
Because that
was where the Starbucks was.
Yeah. At BK.
Have it your way.
You got it. There's been a lot of
don't know.
slogans.
I was like,
Anyway.
what?
On April 1st, Burger King provided free onion rings to Royal Perks members with any purchase of $1 or more.
April 1st or April 2nd?
April 1st,
Oh.
clarifying that the promotion was genuine and not an April Fool's joke. So if you're listening to this the day before it comes out,
There
that
you
will
go.
be relevant to you.
And if not, you probably aren't. 'Cause you
Thanks,
couldn't
April
be.
2nd.
Thanks, April 2nd. Did you know that was April 1st before you put it in here?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. There's a lot of details in the show that get overlooked.
Be really funny if this was actually coming out on April 1st and we were just April Foolsing everyone.
Yeah, just
By
kidding.
talking about April 2nd.
Well, to be fair, even the Chipotle one, this is probably what happened, is March 31st through the 2nd.
Oh.
So technically still the 2nd. And I don't know. It's just the first.
That's fine.
Get some onion rings. That's what I'm saying.
Get a burrito.
Get a-
burrito. Bye-bye.
Get both.
Sure.
You guys have free will. If you can, get a burrito and some onion rings.
Yeah.
We tried the, we were at the Habit the other day, and we tried the, is it fried?
Your
Deep
tempura
fried avocado slices.
avocados. And it wasn't that great. It was sad. I was there with my parents
You were?
yesterday. And my dad was like, this would be really good. And I said, it's not that good.
It just needs a dipping sauce. That's the only
It comes
problem.
with ranch, but I think ranch is not the right
That's not the
option.
right thing. Do people dip their onion rings in ranch? Is that a thing?
Yes.
Oh, I dip it in
You-
barbecue sauce
have
because
you
I'm
met
an
me?
American.
Have you met me?
I have.
I dip my onion rings in ranch.
Yeah, but I
babe.
didn't know if that was just you or if like normal people did that.
Normal people do that.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Ranch lovers.
I think a teriyaki sauce. What would go good with an
You
avocado?
said teriyaki sauce, and that made sense. But
Yeah.
like a soy teriyaki sauce would probably be good.
Ooh, like
because
an eel sauce. You don't know what that is, but it's like a
sounds
sweet.
like it's eels, but it's
I
not.
know. No, it's not like we wrung out some eels and squished their
But they
insides
do have
into
teriyaki
condiment.
sauce, so we could have tried that.
Yeah,
but-
I would have liked that. Either way.
Okay, next time.
but,
Not.
but we won't because we did it and
'Cause
then
we
you
didn't like
went
it.
there the next day and didn't do it. There won't be no next.
Well, my
time.
dad wasn't there when we were ordering.
Hmm.
My mom paid for it. I didn't get it. I just got a salad.
I don't know where to go from here.
What's next? You want to do some you want to do some unpop opinions because I feel like we shared enough stories about our life in the
I
world.
still haven't talked about notable birthdays like Pedro Pascal, whose birthday it is
happy
today,
birthday, Pedro Pascal.
and Clark Gregg, better known as Agent Phil Coulson, who we just
Wow, we
unlocked
just
yesterday.
saved him in
we did.
the Marvel Lego game.
Yep, because we use
we're
our
pretty
time
cool.
wisely. Anyway, those are all the important things that happened today on
Thanks,
April
April
2nd.
2nd. Thanks, April 2nd.
It's like she closed the door before I even walked out of it.
I thought you were going to say it too.
So you're telling me you'd like to do some unpop pins and skip past stories?
Because I think that we've done a lot of stories. I did a story about the Titanic. So did you.
It's
We
true.
did the story about the 40 or things you wish you knew when you were 20.
That was a great story.
We talked a little bit about the P word,
Did we?
politics.
Oh, I was like, I may have missed that whole segment.
Yeah. I mean, unless you have like a very interesting story, but
I'll glance through it because look, we talked about it before. Unpopular pins have been kind of pushed to the end.
yeah, I know. That's why
And
I said
let's
we
bring
should
them
take
up.
time. Yeah.
Not that we're not literally at the end of where they'd go anyway after an hour in.
I know, but that's
But
what I'm
still,
saying.
We don't want to give it short shrift. Is that a phrase? I
Mm,
think it is. I don't know what it means. I know what it means
it's
conceptually.
weird. I don't know.
Who knows? Well, let's unpop some pins, Cal. You ready for the first one then? Okay.
Is that unpopping it? I don't know.
Can't go past that without addressing it. What was that?
That was me trying to figure out the sound of of a pop balloon becoming. But you want to unpop it. So I popped first and then I did that.
Ask questions last. Unpopped the pins. You know what?
So
Well played.
I was like,
Look,
I was right. You were wrong.
I don't care what the audience says about you. I think you are very intelligent.
Thank you.
I think you are great at this.
Thank you.
And I
Beautiful.
think,
Sam, beautiful.
and no, they already say that you're beautiful.
Aww.
Every time I post stuff with you, everyone hearts it all the time. Everybody loves Kelly.
That's right.
Well, to be fair, I was listening to Bill Burr's stand up and he's really curmudgeon-y and old. And I was like, he was giving examples of what causes tension in their marriage. And I was like, oh, I am him. I am that. I apologized a few times to Kelly. I was like, I'm sorry.
That's okay. And then you made up for it today.
Yeah, I did. We can talk about that at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's coming up, what we're looking forward to.
All right. Here, speaking of you and how much people love you, here's the first one.
Okay.
Introducing your wife as, quote, my beautiful wife is weird. This is my beautiful wife, Kelly.
Yes and no.
I don't know why I was pointing over.
This is my beautiful wife, Kelly, the camera.
This is my beautiful wife, Cammie. My other wife, Kelly.
Yep. I think it's only weird for you because you do not look at me as a possession. And I think in our rearing in church.
Ew, we got to rephrase that.
That's what
our
you say.
upbringing.
I know, but it is called rear. You rear a child, which I think is awkward. And
I
weird.
reared no children in church ever. Ever.
No, you just. This is the technical name for raising a kid.
This is a very technical show. I'm so glad we're using the Latin operatus moderandums here.
All right. Okay. I'll just switch it to raising, even though I feel like it's incorrect. It's not. Everyone gets it. But
please say raising.
What were we talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. When you grow up, and we grew up in the church, and a lot of what they teach you is that the wife is there to like submit to the husband. And like, that's what they do.
And the husband is above the wife, but we put the wife on a pedestal. So we're even.
Yeah.
It's
a weird thing. So I know that you have a tough time being like, this is my wife, because that makes it sound like this is my possession.
Yeah.
All she is my wife. And you look at me like we're partners, and we're more than partner. Like we're more than just husband and wife. I'm your best friend. I'm your soulmate, some might say. I'm your business partner. I'm the person that we just we are.
Yeah,
hands
that's true.
Intertwined, clasped. That's
hands
what
across
I'm saying
America,
right now.
baby.
And so I understand where you're coming from, because I think it's more, but it's more than me just being your wife. It's like, because you always say, this is my best friend who also happens to be my wife, Kelly.
Yeah.
Which I think is very sweet. But does it bug you when I go, oh, this is my husband, SP?
No, I don't think you see it the same way. And I don't think that men have been historically disenfranchised and made possessions of. So I don't see it that way. No.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I think it's a label for me.
Yeah. I don't know that it would bug me so much if you were like, this is my beautiful wife, Kelly, in the right circumstance. If you changed and started doing that, I would be like, that's weird for you, because I know where you stand on this. I know how hardly you feel about it. Or how hard you feel about
strongly.
How strongly. Thank you. I was like, how hardly?
Two people clasped together.
It's hardly working. Okay. I'm not always good with words, everybody, but y'all get it. I'm for the people. I speak for the people.
I'm for the people. I don't introduce you that way. And I've always, not always, within the last 10 or 15 years, I've made that distinction and shift to stop trying to describe people based on their physicality.
Yeah.
Like women,
specifically.
even children.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean like they're beautiful,
that
but
short,
like
stubby one over there. You're not gonna do that.
But no, it's more like even at young ages. Take our kid for example. If it's always like you're so pretty, you're so beautiful, that means so much less to me than saying you are so funny. Like you really understand humor and you make me laugh so much.
Yeah.
It's an internal quality. You're really smart. I wouldn't have known how to do that when I was your age. That's something that can be built upon. It's something that takes time, skill, effort, and energy. Sure, there's some talent, but like none of us can really change what we look like.
So sorry.
But and so that's why for me,
you're so creative. You're so good at art.
Exactly.
You're so funny, like you said. You're so talented at that.
But imagine your hair's so pretty. That's great until your hair's not pretty, or it falls out, or it gets ruined, or you have a bad haircut, or you assign your worth to your hair.
Which is different than, wow, I really like the way you styled your hair today.
Exactly. Oh, here's a good way to say it. Wow, you look really good in that dress versus, wow, that dress looks really good on you. Now, you can pick either one. There's no right or wrong, but it says two different things. Like, you look really good in that dress versus that dress looks really good on you. One's talking about you as a person. One's talking about that dress and how it looks on you.
That dress looks good on you.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I know that distinction because I can say that more easily to a woman than you look good in that dress.
Because that implies that you don't look good in everything you wear. But that dress you do look good in.
Yeah, and to go even further, it implies that I'm looking at them in their body versus even what they're wearing. Rather than I'm looking at what you're wearing, and boy, does that just like you wear it with such confidence. That's why I like even saying that. Like I will say, "Dang, like you look really strong in that dress," versus something like, "Oh, you look beautiful in that dress." Not to you, but to people that
because I need the affirmation that I look beautiful.
But you know what? It's also my place to be that for you,
Yes.
and it's not necessarily my place to be that for other people that
100%.
aren't very close in my circle.
Yeah. And I would say we're also really intentional with Brooklyn too. Like we tend to try to explain people to her without being like, oh, sorry, but they're saying, oh, the black lady or the Asian lady or whatever, we always say, oh yeah, the girl with the brown hair,
The red
or whatever,
dress on,
the red dress.
whatever
Yeah,
it is.
because it's important to us that there's not a distinction between.
It's not that
What-
there isn't a distinction.
There is, but that Brooklyn doesn't view them differently, that they're all people.
Yeah. And it's important that that's not just the first top thing that you think.
Yeah, because
In the same way that you wouldn't want to be like, see that great big fat person?
Yeah. I was gonna say that's another one too. We don't say the fat person, the chubby person. We say
Right. There's just certain things that we're like,
Talk
that's
about
not how we're
differently.
going to identify
because
people.
and that's an easier one to just describe because we don't necessarily. I mean, Brooklyn's gonna learn the words regardless, but like we don't want her to view people as like, oh, they're fat, so they're bad, or they're skinny, so they're nice, which I think is what I was taught unintentionally by media growing
Sure.
up. Is that if you're quote unquote fat, you are a mean curmudgeony person, and if you're skinny, then you're great, and all good things happen to you all the time. And I'm like, that's just not the truth, and nor do I want you to believe that because that's not true. None of that is true.
Weight and size is no
It
indicator.
doesn't mean anything.
And to be fair though, I've met a lot more people that would be considered heavy that are nice than I have met skinny people that are kind.
And what's more important to me is that Brooklyn knows if I go, yeah, that person who's frowned, like who always has a frown on her face or whatever, I'd rather describe someone that way. Be like, yeah, that person that's always upset.
Yeah.
That one.
That's your father.
No.
All right, a couple more. If you have to take a break in your relationship, just break up.
What was the last unpopular opinion?
Introducing your wife as my beautiful wife is weird.
Okay. Now, what
So
was
do you
this
think
one?
I was building towards something?
No, I just couldn't remember what it was. I was like, did we hit it?
I think so. Sure.
We did. What was the next one? Sorry.
If you have to take a break in your relationship, just break up. That's a pretty broad.
We were on a break. Okay, sorry. Depends on how long the break is. Do you need a break? Do you need to go to the grocery store because you need a break? That's different than.
Yeah, no, this is like a break.
I'm gonna
Like,
go live
we're
with my mom.
separating. Yeah. I think this is tricky because it depends on where it happens in a relationship. I think if you're dating somebody and you need to take a prolonged break.
You probably shouldn't be dating them anymore. Just be done with it.
Yeah, honestly, you have not gone far enough that
Yeah.
it really matters.
And it shouldn't be that hard. That's what my mom
That's what
used
it
to always
is.
say. It just shouldn't be that hard.
That is what it is.
So early
if you're
on.
not contractually and legally bound to somebody, but you already know that you need prolonged time away from them, like it doesn't have to be that hard. And there's someone out there that will make more sense for who you are
Yeah.
and who they are.
But if after 6 years, which we're hitting this year, you told me that you needed a break, I'd be like, okay, how long?
Oh, you let me have a break.
No, I have some questions. Like how long? Why do you need that?
Yeah.
And there'd be other things like, okay, well, we need to be going, like, here are my rules. We need to be going to therapy, or you have to always let me know where you're going. I don't really know.
Yeah. And that's why
It's weird. We would never
we're not
be that
going on a
way.
break. But that's why when this happens is so important. If you're married, you really can't go on a break. Yeah, you can be separated. Yeah, you can do those things. And you know what? If the biggest part of that, I think, is figuring out what you both want the result to be.
It's a difficult thing because I do believe in divorce. I think it's an important part of a society in certain ways because of the specific society that is in America based off our religious trauma.
Sure.
And so it's hard because you say break. I go, if you need a break, then maybe this isn't the right relationship for you. But I have questions like, have you tried? Not you, but whoever this is, this theoretical couple that's married. Have you tried? Or like, have you been married for 2 years and you're just tired and done, but you've never been in therapy and you haven't worked through your crap and you haven't set expectations or any of that stuff? And I'm like, maybe this isn't the right marriage for you. And at the same time, you actually got to put some work into it before you're just like, I need a break.
Yeah.
That's like starting a job in a weekend being like, I need a break.
I'm not sure that I can quite get this thought all the way out.
Let's see.
Bear with me here. The only real thing that's happening in a person's life is their story. We can say like, we're married. All that's made up.
Mhm.
We're just agreeing that marriage is a thing and that the contract that we signed is a thing. It's like all of that's made up. But the journey that you're on in your life, like that is actually happening. And to your point, if you haven't gone to therapy or tried to work something out, all that kind of stuff, that actually has less to do with the made up parts of your life and much more to do with the personal journey that you're on, that you don't know what it's like to be a partner with somebody or how to do that. Or you have a lot of hurt and baggage from other relationships that you're carrying into these relationships. And that's why it's not your partner's fault. You're going to have this problem with anybody you're with because of X, Y, or Z.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those things that aren't really actual real things, those problems don't go away until you deal with the problems of your own journey. And so, like I said, I'm not totally sure I can wrap my head around it, but I think to your point, if you haven't done all of those things, the problem isn't necessarily about your relationship and taking a break. It's actually about whatever you need to be doing on your personal journey to grow, heal, change, learn. Like, we don't come out the womb with all the answers.
No.
You learn it through experience, through friends, through relationships, through therapists, through all of that stuff, and through your willingness to learn and change.
Yeah.
Not just because like, yeah, we got married because we, had a kid and now we don't get along. Like, that's all just made up stuff that's happening.
Yeah. And also, I mean, everything you said is true, but this is what I would say. This is just besides the point because it has nothing to do. It has to do with it, but not. People should not be getting married as early as they're getting married. Like, just take some time. Be older than 21. Like, live some life and like travel a little bit and experience the world because it'll make a huge difference. I'm lucky that I married someone that if I told him today that I wanted to take a trip to Europe for 4 weeks, he'd have some questions, but he'd probably be like, if that's what you feel like you need to do, go for it.
Yeah, I'd probably make fun of you a little. Be like, go ahead, sister, the traveling pants.
Yeah.
Go ahead, have your fun, eat, pray, love tour. But I'd be like, seriously, enjoy it. I love you.
But I'm lucky in that sense that like I can still experience life and do stuff. We experience a lot of life together. But I know a lot of people that get married, have kids, and then they
regret what they
didn't see anything,
didn't do
or experience anything.
I agree.
So I would say that, and I'll tell Brooklyn that when she's old enough, like, you shouldn't marry the person that you date at 15. We learned that doesn't always work out.
I learned the hard way.
Yeah, but
the problem though is
life.
We talked about this earlier too. You're only ever as old as you are right now, and you only have that much experience. It's impossible to tell a 15, 17, even 21-year-old who is in love with the wrong person that this is not a good idea, because the emotions are so big. And science will tell you that your brains don't fully develop till 25. Like, you just don't make the best decisions.
Yeah.
I don't think it's easy to tell somebody who's younger than that and pretty set, not just set on like marrying a person. Like, for me, I can look back on it for context. If you're a newer listener, I got married at like 21 or 22, really young. The first time, to a person I was dating at 15.
Started dating at 15.
Yeah, so I was there. But I was also in a religious system or an ideology that really celebrated all those landmarks. You're dating. Oh, you're engaged. Oh, you're married. Wow, you're having a kid. You're a good boy and you're doing it right. The path is there and you are walking it. I think the pressure from that ideology was actually more of the motivator than actual, like, I really want to marry this person.
Yeah.
And this isn't putting that relationship or putting her down. We're all on good terms. But it was more the pull of doing what was quote unquote right or expected or the good boy thing that I couldn't get away from. Because my mom, and we'll all talk about this, told me, like, this is not the path I would have chosen for you. Well, too bad, Mom, because you put me in a church and an ideology that celebrated this path. No, I'm not actually saying too bad, Mom. Too bad for this, because the ideology that I'm already in is celebrating all of these steps, and I'm too deep in it now. I can't pull out. And so I had to keep going there and then ultimately explode. Everything exploded. Not only did I lose that relationship, but I lost the community that imposed that ideology on me. I lost all of the friends. And ultimately, it's not that it didn't matter. It was made way worse than it needed to have been had I been able to go like, I guess when someone tells you that they insist they have to be engaged to you before they go back for the last year of college, I guess that's not a great reason to get engaged.
Yeah.
You know, and fill in the blank with 100 examples of what I could have, should have, wish I would have known.
Yeah.
But that ideology was even more strong for me.
Yep.
I also took a break in that relationship and it didn't work out. So my answer is yes.
Just you should have just taken the break and never gone back together. But you took the break and was like, we don't listen to anybody that gives us any advice. We're going to get back together.
That's true.
It's okay. This is just a side note, like a side step to this, but it's interesting because the church in question, our daughter still goes to with her mom. And for the first time ever, all four parents are going to be, well, at least for the two of us, will be stepping foot into that church here this summer because our daughter
is going to camp.
It's going to camp there, and it's during our week, which I'm here to support. I love that she's excited about it. It's her last year to be able to do that because then she's going to be with the big kids.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because it'll be the first time that the four of us truly will step foot on this campus together.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Brooklyn. I hope it's positive for her. And I don't necessarily care. There's not much that can bug me now. I've let a lot of that go.
Yeah, that's good.
because I feel bigger. I'm like, I don't care about you, little pond.
Little pond.
I was in the room. Like, have you seen where I'm at and what I'm doing with my life now? It's like bigger than this.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. I just feel less about it. 5 years ago, I would have felt very different.
Yeah.
3 years ago, I would have felt very different. Now,
Who cares?
I'm old. I don't care.
Have a lot of perspective now. Well, that's not for like 3 or 4 months from now. So we'll let you know how
It's
that
in
goes.
July, but that's okay.
Well, it's April 2nd right now.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah,
You want
you're
to pull out your phone? You can look it up.
4 months.
Sounds pretty close. Pretty close. Like spot on. All right. You want to do a couple more? Oh, wait. Let me just put a bow on this.
Go for it.
I just mentioned it, but yeah, if you're in the dating stage and you're taking breaks, really assess if this is like as easy as it should be or as hard as it needs to be.
Yeah, and this would be a weird thing to say, but I would tell you to find someone who's been divorced and ask them.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have more, someone that's divorced and now remarried, maybe happy, but they're going to be the ones who I think give the best advice because they've lived through the worst of it. But they've also now have the best of it, hopefully.
Yeah, some of us do. I'm one of those people. A couple more. Actually, I'm going to give you the next few that I have and you pick. We can hit all of them.
Okay.
We can change the order. We can hit none of them. Here's the next 3. First, it's okay to not want to be an entrepreneur. A 9-to-5 job is not a failure. That's number 1. 2, people saying money doesn't bring happiness, that's a lie. And number 3, self-help books aren't a scam. People just don't want to put in the work.
Yes, I agree with that one. Some of them are, but most self-help books are not, like good ones aren't. People just don't want to put the work in. They want to.
I think that's true of life.
They want to be given
Therapy,
a magic pill
self-help. Yeah, exactly.
that they take
The
and it
gym.
makes it better, but that doesn't exist. You have to actually put work in. Same thing with, you can compare it to the gym.
I just did.
Is that what you said? But I would say, look, everyone wanted a Peloton, but having a Peloton in your house, as we know, does not mean that you are in shape or healthy. You actually have to get on the Peloton.
Right.
Anyways, I wanted to hit the first one because you said not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur and not having a 9-to-5 is easy, or it's sometimes
not
better.
A failure. Yeah.
It's not a failure. I think that's totally true. As an entrepreneur myself now, and someone who also worked 9-to-5, you can attest to this. There are many days that I go, man, I just wish I miss my 9-to-5 because there was structure. And some people need structure because they can't make their own
structure, stability, community.
Yeah, that like a built-in, all of that stuff. And some people need that. There are days that I miss that a lot. I talked to you about that where I'm like, I have all this random knowledge in my head that like, I just don't use in my daily life because what am I going to tell you? What am I going to do? Tell you for the 16th time the same thing I've told you? Like, it just isn't that way. So some people need the structure and some people need the growth path that is given when you work for an organization. Like it's a clear path of how you can work and where you go. And for people that are achievers or people that are good in school, that tends to be the thing that's easier. And the community aspect, as well as the benefits. You have stuff paid for that's like built in. As an entrepreneur, you don't always get that until you're high enough that you've like created a company with a bunch of people underneath you. And then you've just created the structure that isn't 9-to-5. Does that make sense? Just at the top of it now. It's like a shortcut. But that's very hard.
Yeah. The sucky part about the 9-to-5 with the structure and you know where like you can go in the company is even with that, most of us don't even get that. And then you're bitter because you're like, I was supposed to get a promotion. I was going to do this. And the bottom falls out or you get fired or the company owners move to a different state or whatever it is. Like I don't miss there's a lot of security, but there's
also a lot of not secure. Yeah.
Well, it's like you're also at the whim and dependent on the decisions of things that are out of your control. And that sucks.
That's true.
But that's actually kind of just life, isn't it?
It is. But you're right in that. But I guess I'm just saying there's nothing wrong with it.
No, of course not. But I put it in here because you and I both have created our own jobs. Mm-hmm. And we kind of talk about that a lot. And sometimes we talk about side hustles and stuff like that, but we don't talk frequently about like having a job which allows you to have a normal life.
Yeah, because it lets you leave work at work and home can be at home.
And that's something I really wish we could separate.
Which is why I think having people on our team is helpful because it gives you, that's what I'm talking about with the time. It gives you the time to be like, I don't always have to be working because somebody is working for me.
Okay,
it's different than an agent.
You can answer this live because this is like real talk stuff here. what scares me about that is the weight of expectation from other people now that I'm paying to be a part of the team, that they're going to be reaching out, texting, emailing. And sometimes one of the things I love about our show is that like, it's just whatever we want it to be. And guests come in and people reach out to be on the show and all that. And that's awesome. And I love that. But at the end of the day, it's what we want it to be. And I love that. And I get that that's a control piece. And I think this is probably very common for perfectionists, of which I have a bit of that, achievers, entrepreneurs, all of that. It's hard to give up control.
Yeah, but you're not giving up control. You view it very differently than I do, because you go, the expectation that they have, they're going to do all that stuff. I'm like, they're working for you. You set the expectation.
Yeah.
You set the expectation.
Until they're like, you're going to this premiere tonight. And I'm like, I am not doing that. And by that, it means
your wife is
I am
going
to
to
go,
yes,
but
you
I'm
are.
going to be upset about it.
But you set the expectation. I only would like to go to X amount of premieres a month or on these weeks. Or
a month?
Yeah.
Sorry. Is that just an example? Like
I'm
made
using
up one?
an example, but it's not wrong. There are quite a few that happen, and it's mostly during like FYC season. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that they work for you. You're hiring them to work for you, and so you get to set expectations of like, hey, the reason why, and even being friendly or being friends with them, because that's what you want, to be able to say, hey, I'm talking about us in this instance. I'm bringing you on because I'm trying to buy back more time. Obviously, I want to grow within my industry, but I also am trying to buy back time to be with my family. And so for me, I'd really like to make sure that, like, you need to know that I'm really not going to do any work unless it's an emergency and needs to happen. My goal is to not have to do any work between the hours of blah, 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 and blah, 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 so that I can have that time with my kid.
9 to 5.
Like, that's important. It's not 9 to 5.
I don't want to work 9 to 5 or 5 to 9. Actually, don't want to work at all.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, that is your problem, is that you are someone who comes from a world where you are on call all of the time, and you work for everyone else, even though
I don't know if it's translating to audio and video, but I'm very uncomfortable about the situation. Not because of what Kelly's doing, but it is just a place of discomfort for me.
Yeah. The way you look right now and how you're feeling reminds me of how I felt during all of Inside Out 2. I'm being serious. It's true. But I'm telling you, but that's why you have me, because I'm someone who can tell you and remind you, like, within this frame, when I look at these people that could potentially come a part of our team, you are the ones who are hiring them. They want to be hired by you because you pay them.
Yep.
And so you get to set certain expectations. They might have expectations too, but you find a happy medium and you have a contract that says different things. But that's the point of hiring people, is to get you more access to things that you maybe wouldn't have access as just you, get you more exposure, but also to give you some time. That's like, no, I do get to kind of live my life because this person is dealing with this stuff. And maybe there's checks and balances of checking in and making sure it's happening or making sure it's working. But that's the point. It's not so that you are now on call for 5 more people or however many people we bring on.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
But that's not what it is. And you can even say, like, my preferred form of communication is email.
Is none.
Yeah.
Is text my wife.
But this person is, I'm going to be on all email threads because she's more likely to respond than I will. Like, all of that stuff is okay. And none of it is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I'm saying.
What was the unpopular opinion? 9 to 5. Having a 9 to 5 is good.
Yeah. You're so uncomfortable. It's so weird. Sometimes you just need me to tell you that this is what it's going to be, because it's not at the expense. We're not going to do something at the expense of your mental health or your well-being, but it's also okay to let people work for you because that's their job. Yeah. In the same way that you have agents that you're not always like, I need to make sure that I'm available to them all the time. It's like they're going to send you an email that says you have an audition. You don't like get up and do the audition right away unless they're like, hey, I'm really sorry, but like it's due tomorrow. It's a last minute thing, in which case you will. But like you don't have to respond back right away. It's not, This isn't Nancy anymore who's like, did you get the email? I'm going to call you. I'm going to email you. I'm going to do it. No.
Yikes.
Didn't say your last name.
Yeah.
And Nancy could be anybody.
It's true.
I didn't say her profession either. I'm just saying.
It's true.
I'm just saying.
She's a big fan of the show.
Karens. Just kidding. I feel bad for all the Karens that aren't Karens.
I don't.
Anyway. Yeah. I think you need to be able to get comfortable with that a little bit, because that is the profession they want to do and that's their job. But also you're not like a slave to them and need to answer them every single time they call or text you. It's like,
there's a lot to it. And I don't want people to think that I'm genuinely.
You're just a people pleaser. So it's hard for you to let people, to let people down in your mind. But I'm like, you're not letting them down. You're just setting clear expectations.
It's that, but it's also the achiever and the accomplisher in me is very motivated to do that. It gets very frustrated when other people's when other people's demands or vision become things that I need to accomplish, that really bothers me. Partly because I probably am not on the same page where I'm like, this is not going to have the return that you want, that we need on this or whatever. I'm kind of working it out right now, and I know it doesn't sound great, but I don't like being presumed upon in that way, unless it's something that we already know. Like, I've got a series of videos and things that I'm shooting for upcoming clients and events and stuff. And like, I know that. But then if I had, and I'm also doing the show and doing all of my other stuff. But if then someone was like, I think it would really be good if you did like a 15-minute blah, 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 but blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, okay, this doesn't seem like one of those things that we're having a conversation about. It seems like you're gently telling me to do this. And now it's up to me to figure out how to make all that happen. Great. Like, that's what I don't like.
But that's not what these people would do.
Who knows?
Okay. I'm just being clear.
We'll let you know how it goes after the vision casting retreat.
Which isn't going to happen for a little bit of time.
Yeah, that's a month. So you got like many episodes before we get there. But anyway, I just don't want people to think that I'm genuinely uncomfortable right now. Because this is just the discomfort I live in normally.
But you never grow if you're never uncomfortable.
You never grow?
Yeah.
That's true. That is true. But and it's back to perseverance. We are wired to seek comfort and avoid discomfort.
Yeah.
That's not where change happens.
Change happens in the discomfort.
I've had a lot of discomfort
it's a year
for a
of growth.
long time.
It's a year of growth for you.
Yeah,
You're really being stretched. But the more you stretch,
the less the body comes back to its normal state. Yeah.
You want to talk about the body though. We're just talking about you.
I'm talking about my body and my brain.
Okay.
I've been stretched a lot these last few years.
Yeah.
I was looking at pictures of me because they came up on my phone, not just because I was like, look at him. Look at him.
He is cute.
But I was like, wow, 2022, I was flying so much that whole year,
your face.
You can just see it in my whole face. Mm-hmm. It's like all the cells are swollen. It's crazy. I was like, how did I make it through that?
We're going to get you one of those things.
We have some, those facial
And I bought
things.
you one, actually. You should use it from Face Gym.
Doesn't feel great with a beard. It feels
you
like
gotta put oil and stuff on.
On my face?
Yeah, it's like face oil. I got you.
Okay.
I haven't actually taken time to teach you, so I'll teach you.
Hey, you teased this earlier, but unless you want to hit that last one.
No, I think that's good.
Tell them what
we're looking forward to. The shout out to Shimmy, who really pushed us. Her and her husband just went and saw, her and Nick just went and saw Harry Potter and the Cursed Child at Pantages because it's playing here locally. That was like their big Christmas present to each other this year, I'm pretty sure, which is amazing and wonderful. We looked into tickets. They were kind of expensive, and our life is so crazy that I was like, we can't just like plan for us to be available whatever week it is. So we didn't. But she said today, she's like, I can't believe you're not going to go see it. And we're like, yeah, we just didn't get tickets. She goes, well, one of my coworkers bought tickets like the day before for like $100 each to go and see this. And so SP jumped onto Game Time, which is our favorite app to use for last minute tickets. It's how we saw Anastasia and Jonas Brothers in the year 2020.
No. Really?
Right before the world shut down.
Wow. 2019.
Sorry, 2019.
Dang, it's been a while since we've done stuff. I've been riding those two shows for a long time.
I went to Taylor Swift. Yeah.
Forget what I said.
You didn't.
I'm doing pretty good as a
husband.
husband.
Tickets. We did get invited to that.
Shout out to Holly and Eric.
But that's beside the point. But yeah. And we saw Hamilton. You took me to Hamilton.
And for other stuff.
I know.
I'm a good husband.
I always think of those two because those were so last minute. Like I distinctly remember sitting at work and you being like, "Do you want to see the Jonas Brothers tonight?" Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, but that's never gonna happen." You were like, "Bam, bought tickets." I was like, "Wait, what?" Shout out to Amy and Dana and Jesse because I'm hopefully going to go see the Jonas Brothers again this year.
We'll see what your schedule looks like.
We'll see what happens. I do have a ticket, so we'll just see. But anyways, I'll just say.
We might be raffling that ticket off in August.
We bought tickets to see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child today. So we're seeing it tonight on Wednesday, April 2nd.
Thanks, April 2nd.
Thanks, April 2nd. No stalkers, don't come find us. Just kidding.
No, please do.
But there were good tickets in the center of the orchestra, like row 6 or something like that.
Yeah, if you listen to this and are at the show and find us, I will give you $100.
And a selfie.
No, just $100.
I'll take a selfie with you to be like, I can't believe they found us. Good thing nope.
I don't know what that was, but I'm glad you put it.
I'll take a selfie. Anyways, it's a good thing. Good thing I'm so photogenic. I'll take a selfie with anyone, any of the times. But we're going to go see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I'm very excited about it. So I'm looking forward to that. And we're also going to an escape room this week.
Yeah.
To celebrate Nick's birthday.
Yeah, you know what? Our whole world kind of revolves around the buds.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They, turned us on to Harry Potter.
We're probably going to watch Cars because of Oliver. So
It's true. And I will watch Cars 1 and 3, but apparently 2 is one of the worst Pixar
we're not gonna
movies
watch that one.
ever. Every list we watch, it's like the very bottom of the barrel. That's actually all I have on my wrap-up stuff. I have no gigs this week, which is really exciting. Lots and lots of work to do and taxes to file. Hey, here's a little PSA.
Do your taxes.
It's April 2nd. If you haven't filed your taxes yet,
do it.
Better get on that. We're only 14-ish days away.
We're going to get it done.
And even though the IRS seems to be getting gutted, I think they're still going to make us pay taxes.
Yeah.
So don't forget. Anything else before we wrap up?
No.
We really came in for a landing here. Sorry.
What a wonderful day.
I don't want to be on a flight.
What a fun
That's all I can think about. I always have a good time with you.
And good thing the Titanic was switched with the Olympic, got rid of those 3 big wigs who didn't want the IRS.
Maybe that.
The Internal Revenue Service.
Wow. That was a full wrap up of the whole episode.
You're welcome.
But you know what I didn't think about? What if that maiden voyage was when they switched it? It wasn't a maiden voyage. It was the seaworthy readiness voyage. Maybe that's when they switched it.
You never know.
I think we're on to something here.
Anyways.
We're going to solve this 100-year-old mystery.
Near, far, wherever you are.
Our heart will go on.
Yeah.
As yours should too. I hope you had a great time. This was a really long episode, but I enjoyed most minutes of it. Almost every single one. Except for the end. That one
He was
part.
a little bit uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but it was good. A good uncomfortability for him. Trust.
I enjoyed that part too. And I hope you are enjoying not just your time with us, but I hope you're enjoying your life. If you are in a relationship, workplace, or anything else where you need to constantly take a break from it, assess your choices and evaluate your life. Because as far as we know, this is the only life we get. So you might as well freaking enjoy it.
Yep.
So have a good week. We've got a little something coming for you at the end of the week. Today's April 2nd.
Do we?
Mm-hmm.
Do I not know about this?
It's hardly working through it.
Oh, I was like, what is it?
We should probably address that. If you've been listening for a while, at the end of last year, we were planning on making Hardly Working Through It its own show. And actually, we did. We did. And then we decided, man, the audience, it's a lot of work. And we already have such a cool group and amount of people on this show that one of the big reasons we switched is because, or we wanted to switch was to differentiate because Hardly Working Through It is uncensored, unfiltered version of the show. There is language in it. There's talking about the uncomfortable things that we don't talk about on Hardly Working. We thought that maybe we should keep those separate because not everybody wants those pieces.
And now we've decided that's just who we are.
So we are. You got to take us
together.
or leave us. You don't have to listen, but we are giving you a new episode, Hardly Working Through It, right here on this channel.
You're welcome.
This Friday. So you got something to look forward to. Just a little gift from us to you. So we hope you have a wonderful week. We'll see you right back here on Friday. And of course, we hope you spend most of your time
hardly working. Bye. Love you.
Mean it.
Bye.
Bye.
I messed that one up
The first time ever. Bye.
Bye.